Hi, just thought I would make a quick video about how to update your resume. You may already have all these things and are well on your way to finding a new job, but I hope that at least one or two of these tips are new and helpful for you. So I'm Briana and I'm an associate director at Blanche Macdonald in our career department for our fashion students and grads. I help students get jobs, internships, talk about career paths, and help them write and update their resumes. So here are the top 8 things that I feel like I find myself saying a lot. And I found that my students have found an impact with these. So comment below and tell me what is your top favorite tip that you learned today. And don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so the number one thing that I feel like I tell students and grads is to use a template. So you can find these on Canva, Microsoft Word, and there's some debate about whether to use a template. But most of my students are creative, so they're getting into social media roles, marketing roles, and fashion roles. And so with these, you want to stand out from the crowd. So I would suggest using one of those eye-catching, attractive sort of templates, and kind of tailor it to what your personal branding is. So if you are applying to jobs at YSL and super cool places, it can be, grays and blacks. But if you're applying to things like Kate Spade or other colorful places, make your resume colorful if that's what you feel like your personality. So it really should speak to your personality. Sometimes these don't track very well with ATS tracking software, Google ATS tracking software. That's a whole other discussion. And so you can always choose to write 2 separate resumes. One that you would submit online to all those, when you're applying to Nordstrom and Lululemon, all those places and you're applying online, you can have a totally normal formatted Microsoft Word, bullet pointed resume. But when you're walking into places, when you have an email to submit, when you go in for your first interview, you can hand them this lovely resume. So yes, first one I would say is to use a template. So number 2 is keywords. So let's say that you are applying to the same position over and over again. You find that you're always applying to social media coordinator positions. You're always applying to fashion designer positions. You're always applying to marketing positions. So you should start noticing a trend of what they're asking from you. So it could be skills. It could be applications such as they're always asking that you know how to do TikTok and IG and YouTube and all those things. Make sure those are in your resumes. They're asking you, they're helping you, they're showing you on that job description keywords that then should be included in your resume. So oftentimes we're not applying to be like a chef and a fashion designer and a teacher but if you are, you have separate resumes with separate keywords for those things. So you'll notice a trend and make sure you're including those keywords. They should be concise and result and accomplishment oriented. So instead of saying like works well with others, you could use their direct words of what it is to work well with others. Or you can list an accomplishment about when you produced X, Y, and Z. And so just really making it where they want to choose you. They scan your resume in 6 seconds, and what are those keywords popping out? Again, the ATS tracking software is trying to find those keywords, is trying to pick you, so make it easier for them to pick you. So if you have attended secondary education. So let's say that you are done with high school and you've gotten a diploma somewhere. It could be a 1-year diploma, a 2-year diploma, a 4-year degree. Once you've gotten that sort of diploma, you can drop high school. This is my 3rd tip. Drop high school. Unless you're in a small town and you went to the most elite high school and you know that that's going to get you that job because somebody works there, went to that fancy high school, there's no reason once you went to college, once you got a diploma, to list your high school. They know that in order to get into that college that you already have a high school degree. Use that space. It's such limited space. Use it for your college, okay? So while we're speaking on colleges, number 4 tip would be education. So If you went somewhere like Princeton, Harvard, some big fancy schmancy school, and you were just getting out of school, sure, put your education at the top, show that, highlight it, that's great. And then maybe your job experience isn't as great, so then you would list education at the top. If that's not you, which is most people, then education should be at the bottom, or at least below your job description. So you want to highlight the jobs that you have that are relevant, the volunteer opportunities that you have are relevant first, because those hiring managers and those recruiters, they're looking for why they should choose you for that job. And so you can say like when I was a hiring manager at Nordstrom, I looked for people, if they didn't have retail experience, I looked for people that were servers or they worked in restaurants, because I knew they could hustle, I knew they were fast, I knew that they were good with customers. And so it doesn't necessarily matter that you don't have the exact work experience. We'll translate it for them, show them why your work experience works for them. Okay, so again, make sure that the education's at the bottom. Next, number 5, I would drop entry-level jobs once you've worked better jobs. So my first job that I would put on a resume when I was little was babysitting. So that helped me get the next job. And my first retail job was at BCBG, and I loved it, and I was excited to put that on my resume because it was high-end, for me, retail. But then once I became a fashion designer, I no longer needed to say that I had worked in retail, because all my other jobs that got me to be a fashion designer, the associate designer position, the cat artist position, those were more relevant. So again, it's such precious space. Save it, save it, save it for the things that are relevant. If your only job is BCBG, great, highlight it, put it there. But this goes on to the next tip. The next tip, which should be only have a one-page resume. So try to squeeze all the information into one-page resume. And so in order to do that, we have to drop things like high school. We have to drop things like our first jobs if they're not relevant. And your job should always be listed in chronological order. What is your most recent job that you've had? And then down to the last job that is relevant, okay? So always in chronological order. The only reason that this would not apply to you, the one-page resume, is if you've been working in your field for more than 10 years. Then you can have a 2-page resume. But try to stick to the facts. Try to keep it concise. Try to use those keywords, okay? The next thing, I would have somebody correct or proofread. So make sure that you have somebody that's good, that loved learning English, or like my dad was really good and made us look up words and was, made sure that spelling was important. Have somebody look over your resume. You've put all this work into it, and now make sure somebody spell checks it, okay? Because the worst thing that you can do is, misspell words and then have somebody throw out your resume because there's a bunch of misspelled words. If you're applying to social media positions, they need to make sure that you can write correct content, right, for the post. So those spellings are important. So last tip, number 8, is now that you have all that great info saved on your resume, you've put it on a template, it looks colorful, it looks great. Now plunk it right into LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really good about linking companies. It listed in chronological order. It's really easy for companies to see the progression that you've made at a company. So let's say that you started off as a cashier and then a salesperson and then a visual role and then a hiring manager. So it shows that succession really easily. As well, it's easier for recruiters and hiring managers to quickly find you. I know that I've found people that I've hired through LinkedIn, and I've had friends use LinkedIn to get hired. So you have done all this work creating this beautiful resume, put it on LinkedIn, make sure your school is linked so you're on their alumni pages, and just using all those keywords on LinkedIn will be really helpful. Okay, hopefully you found this video helpful, and let me know in the comments below what your favorite one was, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!